Okay, welcome back to my channel English Bobby. Here I will explain how the suspension system. The suspension system is a series of the components that function to absorb vibration caused when the car is running on the road surface. The purpose of the suspension system is to prevent the car body from vibrating when crossing the road surface. So that adds to the aspect of driving comfort. The working principle of the suspension, namely by giving a bulkhead between the body and wheels, where the bulkhead has elasticity so that sudden movements on the wheels will not affect the vehicle body. And this is and the suspension system acts as the bulkhead. The main component of the suspension system is a spring. Spring is a component made of strong elastic steel. The elasticity of the spring is used to absorb all vibration on the road surface. Uh, However, springs cannot work alone in a suspension system. There are still some additional components that support the performance of spring among others. The suspension arm serves to connect the wheels with the car chassis. Suspension arms made with hinges so it can move vertically. This movement will allow the wheel to move up or down according to the load received. As the name implies, the shock absorber acts as a shock absorber on the suspension system. In that, springs are the main component of the suspension system, but the weakness of springs is that they have the same turning power when present, so that even if there is no vibration, the car body will experience oscillation or sway. To anticipate this, a shock absorber component is placed which can prevent sudden movement of the shaft. The absorber will give a harder suspension effect but is very stable because it is able to absorb shock. As the name implies, the stabilizer serves to stabilize the vehicle body when a suspension effect occurs. Simply, simply put, when the car turns, the car will lean towards the outside due to centrifugal force, and as a result, the car can be rolled. In general, there types of suspension in cars. The namely is number one, independent suspension or free, where the left and right wheels are not adrift in a rigid line. Suspension dependent or rigid, where the left and right wheels are located in a right shaft. Semi-independent suspension. a combination of rigid axle with independent suspension. In the automotive world, suspension types are classified as being more specific, including McPherson suspension. McPherson suspension is the type of front suspension most widely used today in light vehicles or MPV, hatchback, sedan, mini SUV. This type is classified as independent suspension because the left and right wheels are not adrift. Typical McPherson suspension is on a fairly simple design but uh, has a relative good quality because it is classified as an independent suspension. This type is able to absorb road vibration quite well. In addition, all components on MacPherson also takes up less space, so it is quite fitting for small vehicles. And then double wishbone suspension. Double wishbone type is also included in the independent suspension class for the front suspension. Judging by its shape, it is similar to MacPherson suspension, but the double wishbone looks heavier and more complicated. This is because the double wishbone, there are two suspensions arm, namely the lower arm or located below and the upper arm or located above. The effect of the two suspensions arm is on balanced vertical movement of the wheels. So many videos from me. Don't forget like and subscribe. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.